Rivalz Race Chat viewers, thank you so much for hanging with us. Adam and Clinton here as we get set to go with another good night of racing chat. Adam, great to see you.
It's good to see you too, Clinton. As I sit here doing math on my computer, 10 seconds after you told me, don't worry about the math anymore.
Those are the joys of the late night dinners we both end up conquering in these race times. It seems like the deeper we get into the season, the later my dinner shows up on the table. But it was fantastic, and I'm ready to go. Want to first off thank Greg Callan and Spencer for all the great work they've done. As you can see, we've got a flashy new virtual set here, and looks fantastic, guys. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Do us a favor, go on Facebook and share this around. I believe we're also on YouTube right now with Spencer and Spencer Filson. Where should they go to watch this? I should know these questions. Facebook or YouTube. Look for Rush Weekend Speedway on our regular channel. Thank you so much. So, we are waiting to get in touch with some of our guests who are maybe joining us, maybe not. Adam, well, let's talk about some of the exciting stuff coming out. I don't know if you just caught it. It just came out in our email at 9 o'clock. And Spencer, let me know if Rick chimes in. Did you get the contact info to Rick? Adam, do you know offhand?
No? Did I get what to Rick?
Mike said he was talking to you, and you were going to have Rick come and join us. So
no, Mike told me Rick was coming to join us. I was on the phone with Mike. He said, "Yeah, Rick's going to fill in because Mike had some dental work done."
All right. Well, we'll have to get that link off to Rick. All right, so it looks like we're not going to have Rick. Let's just read the press release here, Adam, as we get going, as it just came out. MAV TV's All North Racing, powered by Pinty's, expands late season coverage of Osh Weekend Speedway. MAV TV Canada's All North Racing has made an announcement in conjunction with us. Adam, you know we worked hard this week to get this done. They're pleased to announce that it will simulcast Epic Race for a Championship Night from Osh Weekend Speedway, where we will crown the 4 weekly divisions this Friday night. The action will begin at 7:30 on our live stream network. Then at 9 p.m., both MAV TV and the Osh Weekend live stream will feature the Points Championship Battle live. And I'm quoted as saying we want to thank our broadcast partners for coming together to make this happen for our fans from all over the world. Spencer gave us some great numbers yesterday, Adam, and more than half of our viewers are outside the MAV TV Canada viewership, and we want to make sure we include them because we've been working with them for over a year and a half through our regular Friday night broadcasts. And the other thing is we've built up a great viewership on MAV TV Canada across our country, and it all started last Friday. Mike came to me in Victory Lane and said, hey, why aren't we doing Championship Night? And I said, we're going to be here. Let's do it. So super excited with that. What are your thoughts, Adam, on putting Championship Night live this Friday?
I think it's awesome, but I think it's awesome because Greg Callan had enough common sense to step up and say that when MAV TV said they wanted to come and broadcast live. Greg was the one that brought up and said, you know what, we've had a huge following watch the stream all season long building up to this championship. There's got to be a way that we can get both on and make everybody happy. So I want to give him big time kudos because I know he helped make a lot of people happy, Clinton. I think it's fantastic. I think it's awesome. I think it helps tie the season together, but I think it's even better that our fans on the stream are not getting left behind.
Couldn't agree more. Mike and those guys, they want to send out a big thank you to the sponsorship partners, Pinty's and Mr. Transmission, for their support and helping us expand the coverage. They had to get behind it financially and make that work today to make it work on Friday. So super excited to say that we will be giving a simulcast broadcast as MAV TV wanted to join the coverage. And that speaks volumes for the quality of programming that we've been putting out and the racing that's been coming out of Osh Weekend Speedway. In conjunction with that, on the second part of the press release says it's also MAV TV Canada will also be the exclusive home for the 15th annual Canadian Sprint Car Nationals coming up in just over a week, presented by Aero Express, Bradshaw Brothers, Burger Barn, and of course Nitro 54 Variety. So super excited about that. The big thing there, it's not going to be a 9 o'clock start. It's going to be a 7 p.m. start. You're going to get to watch the whole Canadian Sprint Car Nationals on MAV TV Canada, which we're super excited about as part of All North Racing's last live broadcast of the season from the Big O. The other part of that, Adam, is you know, last year it was a pay-per-view. This year it'll be free. And if you don't have MAV TV Canada, it'll come out 7 days later for free, so you get to watch it anyway. So super excited about those announcements coming in from MAV TV Canada.
And we got a pretty good feel. I don't know if I'm jumping around or not, but for how ripe our market is for big race weekends. The one we just experienced at Jukasa Motor Speedway was phenomenal, Clinton. Canadian Sprint Car Nationals, pretty much the same thing. Going to be tons of visitors, tons of outsiders, a huge show. Just the atmosphere was fantastic.
Yeah, you're kind of jumping around. That's why we have that fancy rundown on the side so you can stay with us and pay attention. You know, what is that drink you're drinking? Is that a dainty little tea? Can you hold up your pinky when you drink that can?
I can't really get all my fingers
around. Come on, give us the pretty pinky up there, big guy. Yeah, there you go. Yes, kind of like every time you say big dog, someone has to woof in the tower. I love that between you and Greg. That is great. Okay, so back to our
the TV expansion.
That's amazing. So we can move on from that. Next thing that rolls us into the Canadian Sprint Car Nationals. Just mentioned that we have entries coming out the wazoo, over 60. I think we're at 65 as of the cutoff date for the early bird. So there's going to be more coming in who have not announced their arrival. So we're super excited about that. And that leads us into some of the other action we've saw over the last weekend, where we saw some really good racing respect. But before we get into that, I'll just let you finish up Nationals. Tickets are still on sale. Red Lot Camping sold out, so if you plan on camping, get on the website or contact Mary 519-717-0023 to get your Blue Lot Camping. Tickets are going fast. What else am I forgetting, Adam? I think that's it for the Nationals. Get your tickets, get your camping. We'll see you there. And car counts to the roof. Oh, one last thing, Adam. As we were walking around the pits at Jukasa on Saturday or Sunday, I had a gentleman come up to me out of the blue and said, "Hey, who was the last guy to sign up for the early bird last night?" And I didn't know off the top of my head. I said, "I'm not sure, sir." Why? And he said, "I just wanted to let you know that I was the one who messaged Tommy and said I'm going to pay that guy's entry fee." So just a super fan who wanted to pay the early bird fee for the last guy to register the early bird. And that speaks volumes to the kind of fans we have here in Ontario who just say, "I think it's cool just to pay that guy's entry fee." And thank you, John. I believe it was McCullough who said he was going to do it. So that's super cool. Thank you so much. So that wraps up.
Was it Mark? Was it Mark or Brent McCullough?
His name was John. I thought his name was John. Was the first thing I was sure his name was John.
Because I know we had to do a birthday shout out for Mark McCullough, who was there on the weekend with Brent McCullough, who requested the shout out. So I know there were McCulloughs there.
Tommy would probably know because he was in contact with Tommy. But Canadian Sprint Car Nationals 15th annual, going to be bigger than ever. Triple 15s for the sprint cars on Friday is going to be one of the wildest shows you've ever seen. If you've never seen that, the quality is through the roof there of the racing you'll see that day. Good for the Nationals. Anything on after that? What?
That you're sitting there sucking back a Pepsi, and I'm hauling back on a Coke Zero.
It's only right.
So
you and
I both.
Opposite.
That's right. That's right. You and I both enjoy making sales and making deals. So I say it's a race to see who can sign an official beverage of our little corner of the universe.
No comment. I have to deal with both those companies in my day job, and there's one that really pisses me off right now, and I'm not excited to go with them. In fact, as soon as I can wash it down the drain, we're gonna. But that's a business talk for another day.
This is the only time in your life, Clinton, that you're going to be able to say yours is bigger than mine.
It's all right. I'm an announcer. We use our mouths anyways. All right. Let's go. We better move on before we get too disrespectful. Considering our next topic is racing respect. So, Adam, as you and I tool around to the different races and where we're working them or not, we talk about different things that come up. And one of the things that you mentioned this week was racing respect. We saw some great examples of it. First off would have been Friday at Osh Weekend Speedway, where Ryan Dinning and Dave Bailey were having a race to the checkered, and Dinning said in victory lane, "I could have just dumped him," but that struck a chord with you, Adam, and he raced him clean. Your thoughts on? Well, here it comes. Great job, Spencer. So we're going to get a look at it here. Now, Bailey got an early wreck as the point there. He needs to get back out there, and here's Dinning. Threw it in there hard. He could have swiped the side off of Bailey, but he lifted.
That's all he had to
Bailey
do.
get back. And it was a great finish there.
Yeah, I was going to say, show this again. Down into 3 and 4, all he has to do is drive up the racetrack. He knew he wasn't going to complete that pass. All he has to do down there into 3 and 4 is drive up the track and come across Bailey. Just rub him up. There were 10 different ways he could have beat him, but that's not how he wanted to do it. And Clint, we're in a day and age where at the highest levels of sport and in recent weeks, we talk about questionable moves. Were they dirty? Were they clean? Were they not dirty? The fact that Ryan Dinning chose to run that line, if I beat him, I beat him. If he beats me, he beats me, just shows a ton of respect, because Thunder cars are a division where that is expected. Not only is it the norm, it's okay. You're in a fender division, cars that are nice looking, but they're obviously cars that drive into each other from time to time, and it shows. But to see that level of respect and not do that, and I mean, Ryan Dinning is as hungry for a win as anybody we've seen. We saw the same thing again on Monday at Jukasa with Sean Chenoweth, who had driven through the field, caught up to Lane Zardo, and at the very end, could have drove in there and moved him. Instead, finished second, and in his victory lane interview even said, that's how you race. That's how you do it. You don't wipe them out. If you can pass them, you pass them. And he passed 38 other cars that day, but he couldn't pass Lane Zardo. He didn't get there in time, and you take your lumps, and that's racing.
I think that's the fair way to assess it. I think he got to Zardo a little late. You know, he didn't really get to put any pressure on him. He got there at the last lap, at the very last moment. Had he had maybe 3 more laps, it could have been a whole different race there, because it would have been exciting to finish. But it was great to see Chenoweth come from the back there and drive past. You know, I think there were 41 cars started, and he passed all but one of them, and all but exciting.
One. Spencer, and I'm putting you on the spot. You don't happen to have the finish of the mini stock race, do you? I don't think we talked, but that was a fantastic race. There was contact there. But even those two, I mean, there's a couple of young drivers who were both trying to get to victory lane for the first time, with Ryan Hiller, and you had Wade Thorne. 2 guys we've talked about, Clinton, all season long being due. They've earned the right to be up there battling, and finally they were. That last lap was fantastic, that last couple of laps.
And let's not forget, it was $1,000. Oh, man, Spencer, you're amazing. Here we go. And there you see them going at it. And if we can watch this one again too, Spencer, play that again.
And so Ryan Hiller, what he tried to do was cross him over. Hiller tried to cross. He could have got to the back bumper of Thorne and just routed him and probably won the race. Instead, he tried to cross him over, made a little bit of contact, and that messed with his momentum. But have you ever seen a second-place driver so excited to have lost a race for $1,000, Clint?
No, I thought it was great. Here they come into 3 and 4 for the final time. And Thorne,
and that's where the
kind of threw a slider at him and didn't quite clear it, or was Hiller trying to cross?
No, he cleared it. Hiller was – let's watch it again. Thorne gets by him, and then Hiller was trying – like, it was a slide job, and Hiller was trying to time it to cross him back over. He just missed. Like, he got into the back end of Thorne trying to cross over. I think if he'd have crossed him over clean, he'd have won the race. He still might have won the race, but Thorne used his driver's door as a defense, and still both those drivers celebrated.
Time out. We need to back that up. We need to watch again, and I need our viewers to chime in here, because that was not a crossover gone wrong. That was a slide job that was poorly missed and executed. He was not clear of Hiller by any stretch of the imagination. In sprint cars, to me, the 46 is full at waist. So he slides it up there in front, and
look at the front wheels.
In the back. Yeah, but you can't look at the front wheels, because at that point you see the car coming. You're just trying to survive. But to me, Thorne was not clear. I'm not placing any blame. Hey, the racing was awesome. Everybody was happy in the end. But Thorne pitched it to the bottom and buried it in there.
Yeah, you're not placing blame, but you're also not making a point. What's your point?
My point is, you said that it was a crossover gone wrong, and I say it's a slide job gone wrong.
The slide job was right.
The contact was in
front of the 21.
Yeah.
The contact.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Was the choice. The contact was the choice of Ryan Hiller, And I don't think he was trying to make contact.
No,
He knew if he listen to me. I'll tell my story, and I'm going to make my point because you didn't.
okay.
The choice Hiller had, once Wade Thorne gets down in the corner, wheels turn going up the racetrack. Hiller can either go to the outside and try to race him like that, or he can hit him and see if he can get him crossed up, or he can lift, or he can cross him over, drive under him. So in a split-second decision, it looked to me as though he realized, okay, I can't go to the outside because the 46 car is just not turning. He's going to keep going up the track. So I'm going to go to the inside. I'm not going to drive into the back of him and try to route him. I'm going to try to time it and drive to the inside. And he mistimed his crossover move. That's exactly what happened. Tell me I'm wrong.
I'm laughing because Chris Rocket just called you Colonel Sanders and said you're wrong. So I'm just saying, Adam, and okay, Mark De Silva brings up a great point. You know, $1,000 last lap corner, stay in it. I'm not placing any blame. I'm just saying your call of that was totally backwards because the 46 threw a bad slider and was not clear, and I don't think the 21 had any intent to hit. The slide job won. I'll give it to him, but thank God you're not an official because there'd be a lot of scrapping going on. You know, I'm just saying.
Right. 46 drove it in there, went up the track. That is a slide job.
Yeah, but it wasn't a clean. I agree, it was a slide job. Stop
I
right
didn't
there.
call
I'm
it
saying
a
it was
clean
not.
slide job.
It was not. Oh, you're such an ass. Now you change your story.
He forced
right.
Ryan Hiller to make a decision. Ryan Hiller had 4 choices: outside, hit him, inside, lift. 4 choices. That is the result of any slide job. Whether it's a good slide job or a bad slide job. A horrible slide job is one that takes your left front off and crashes both of you.
I love arguing with you over stuff. This is great. Anyways, the good thing about it was they were respectful to each other in victory lane. Neither were pissed off. Hiller was still happy with the $500 payout. Thorne got his big win that's been due, and it was great. And I appreciate everybody's comments backing me up.
And Dustin is right. If Hiller kept going to the
for
outside,
the record,
it would have been bad.
Colonel Sanders, I had chicken about a half hour ago for dinner, so I cooked your ass twice. We're going to continue to fight, but that's all right.
This tiny can of Coke Zero just doesn't run out. I'm okay. I'm okay if we've got 500 people watching and 480 people think I'm wrong, because the other 20 people know Wade Thorne won the race. I'm right.
That's how you get out of being wrong. You just change the contest and move on.
That's a full fendered slide job.
Are we done with bracing respect? Because you're not being very respectful right now. Great chat.
Edward,
quickly.
We're awesome tonight. This is us. This is normal.
Let's talk quickly about some of our supporters' victory games. As I've got the hat on, you can see with the Z. Some of the stuff they got going on. Current active pools, you can get to them by going to racerivals.com. Log on, create your free account if you don't already have one. There's sign-up bonuses going on at this moment. Current active pools are Oshweekend for this week in APC and the Canadian Sprint Car Nationals for September 14th coming up shortly. Their best offer yet is out there right now. It's 1,000% in total deposit bonus, 500% deposit bonus on your first deposit, 200 and 300 on your second and third. Free additional $5 to anyone who uses email money transfer. There's never been a better time to try out the site. Check it out. Email money transfer, the fastest, most secure way to get your picks in. More sports will be added soon, including football coming up, I believe, this week. More than just pools, slots, blackjack, video poker, more. Sign up and try the site and make sure you use your cash bonus on victorygames.com and racerivals.com to sign up if you don't have an account already. So thank you so much for everything you do for us. Adam, switching gears, moving on to the Canadian Short Track Nationals. You and I were both fortunate enough to be asked by the staff and management there to come in and the ownership group to announce that weekend. Bit of a long one for us because it poured over into the third day when Sunday rained out. But, wow, man, that was more homework than I've had to do in a long time. Not knowing a lot of those guys, we really had to get up on the clipboard. And for the first time, I actually had to carry paper around in a long time. So it was great to work with you, and I think we had a great time, and I enjoyed calling the races. So we have a lot of things to cover there. First off, first impressions.
First impressions of the second annual event. much improved. I think the fact that they executed year one last year really legitimized what they're trying to do there, and it showed with more cars, more quality cars, more regions were represented. And it might not seem like a huge deal, but just the fact that a car showed up from South Boston, Virginia. So we had cars from New England, cars from Virginia, car from Tennessee, car from Texas, all over the country, from Nova Scotia, from Alberta, from Saskatchewan, all coming together. So the fact that they did it once was pretty spectacular. The fact that it's happening again, people really start to buy in. Is that too long for a first impression?
No, I'll take it.
I think the main impression was the campground. When you drove into that place, and I drove in Friday night, well, the wee hours of Saturday morning, it was packed.
That's always a good impression for a race when you see the campground full. You know, even with us at our big events, Mary's always panicking about ticket sales, but as long as we keep selling at the campgrounds, I know we're going to be all right. Yeah, we'll definitely comment on the DQ of the Eddie McDonald 17. That'll come up a little bit later. That's kind of the last part of this segment, I think, because that happened the last bit of the weekend.
Let's do it in chronological order.
My notes, first thing, car counts. Car counts were fantastic in the Pro Late models and the Super Stocks. The Pro Late models had around 65, if I'm correct. Was that right, Adam? Or 61? Over 60.
It was well over 60 to start the weekend. A few fell out. Really unfortunate. Trent Seidel from Saskatchewan, a guaranteed starter. And I don't know if he blew out a tire and then crushed the wall, or if he broke a motor and got into his own oil and crushed the wall. But he was done after practice day.
When we saw him on the way out, he said the car wouldn't run. So that made me think engine more than a chassis or issue that they couldn't get together. But
well, I the first thing he said, "Oh, Adam, it's effed."
Oh.
That was like it was pretty emphatic. This car is junk.
Over 50
Terry,
super stocks, which for us dirt guys would be like a street stock, thunder stock. A lot of them showed up, which great car counts there. The Outlaw Super Late models had a decent car count for their race, and then the Oscar had their series best of 18 cars come out, and man, they wrecked some there. Yeah, in the hot rod. Sorry. So, Spencer, you got that clip of the wreck of the hot rod wreck. You can take a look at that.
That accident scared me.
So this is our call to races where we take it off, and this is courtesy of Speed 51. They had this highlight up on Facebook for the weekend, and you know, Jerry Broom's on the inside. That's a good one to discuss. I saw this being argued. Who's at fault there? And you see that 61 O'Bailey get clobbered. The number 38 car, the 61 Biscayne, gets plowed over from the backside, and that was pretty wild. This is some. We'll get back to that in a second. That's some onboard stuff, but yeah, play that wreck again if you can, Spencer. That was wild, and hate to see all these Oscar guys. So this is on a double file restart, Adam, coming down now. A lot of guys were saying the 8 came down and got in the left rear. To me, it looked like the 93 kind of came up into the side of them, but certainly too early in that race to be pinching each other off either way. And wow. And watch the 61 and Bailey come in here right there. Oh, gets tuned in the backside.
Right in the front of the foot box. So, Clint, this scared me a lot. Reminded me of an old style NASCAR wreck. Like when you see old wrecks from Darlington, they're heavy race cars with bad brakes, and they just couldn't get slowed down. So I was nervous to begin with when that happened. You know, when you see wrecks, and we've seen some spectacular crashes and we don't really get too worked up. You just feel okay about them. And there's some you see like, boy, let's make sure we check on these drivers pretty quick. And then it got so much worse because I'm up in the tower. There's probably 8 of us between the officials and myself. And someone had a radio open. Someone had a radio on without a headset so you could hear what was coming over the radio. And the safety crew radios up, says code 0, car 38. And the whole room went deadly silent. We're kind of looking around at each other. Nobody was offering anything. So I said, okay, what's code 0? Someone in the back of the room says, I don't know, but it doesn't sound good. You were in the tower with me at that point. I was thinking you were trackside. You were in the tower. Am I telling it pretty much how it went down?
Exactly.
So it's just silence. And then about 30 seconds later, and we had turned off the mics at this point because we're like, hey, we've already said safety personnel are on the scene. You don't want to give much more information until you have an idea of what's going on, because we have to understand how to frame it, how to present it. And
Well, you told me too. You said the delay was long enough that you said put on some music. And I'm kind of about that framing. I'm like, we can't play disco and happy music till we know what the hell's going on out there. So it was an extended delay as we're waiting to find out what code 0 means.
And then 10 seconds later, we get code 0, car 28. Like, holy shit. And that was the other car with significant damage. Turns out we come to find out, in not so many words, code 0 means the driver's alert, chatting with staff. They're probably going to pop out of the car. At least that's what we gathered. We never did get that official explanation. But at the moment, it freaked us out because we know Dave Bailey's wife. We know his kids are in the stands, friends and family. You don't want to give the wrong information, but you also don't want to give scary information, right? There's a lot of things that can go wrong there.
100%. The right message is key at that moment, especially. And like you and I have been through some tragic stuff, the most tragic over the years. So, you know, you want to be as courteous as you can to those situations. But everybody was all right. Some of that gorgeous metal is not, though, and can't be tough to put those cars back together. It's not like calling McCall and just ordering a new fender and throwing it back on there. You're gonna have some work to get those ones back out there. So,
oh, for sure. No, apparently
it
Rodney has another Biscayne body at home. So they're going to have to do some work underneath it, but I guess there's a spare body for that car.
So that was Saturday afternoon. Then we get into Saturday night, which is the Outlaw Super late model race after that. Now, Caden Lapsevich, he had to start tail in that one they changed something after qualifying, right, and had to go to the back. Either way, he started tail, drove up through the field, had a fantastic race, takes the lead, and then somehow coming out turn 4, he slowed down to about 3/4 speed, and then the 25, here they are there. So Caden Lapsevich had just gotten around J.R. Rorig for the lead here, and courtesy of Speed 51, this coverage. So they're driving down here. They come out of 4. They both kind of, not quite up to speed, and I think it's on the next lap when they just pull in. They just pull right into the pits, and you and I are there, and here they are coming around turn 2. That's the 8 car, Bozell, going around them on the backside. And both 1 and 2 slow up and pull into the pits, and we're like, what the hell's going on? Like, what drama?
We're looking at each other. We're looking at yellow lights on the track. Like, why did these guys slow down? But yeah, craziness.
And, it's not like you're even near the end of the race where we've seen drivers pull in thinking the white was the checkered and second follows third. I mean, I've seen a night at Merrittville where I think Mike Dooley pulled in the pits on the white flag lap, and the whole field went with him, which was a case of who comes back out to take the checkered out of the pits, which was amazing drama in itself to call. But yeah, so I think that was pretty wild finish there. The Bozells finished 1-2, son and father. A great run for Phil and Andy Bozell. So congrats to them. Then we come back for Sunday afternoon, Adam. It is supposed to be the heat races and qualifying for the super stocks, right? So we didn't quite get in there, but we got one heat racing.
Barry, we'll get to your comment. I will talk about that, but we're going to go through this first. We're going to do things in order. So, because Barry makes a good point, and Spencer, you're going to want to pull that comment up a little bit later on. But yeah, and it couldn't have worked out any better for me, Clinton, to be honest with you, because it gave things a chance to fester once the rain hit in heat race number 2, because the highlight of that day turned out to be the last event of the day.
Well, the highlight of the day was your call of the fight that ensued. So, and I'm told we're getting you've been let's call it bestowed as the moniker maker. You give someone a new nickname after the weekend, and that's what happens when you start chucking the knucks. Your buddies end up with a new nickname. So, what do you want to do? Do you want to see the incident, or do you want to comment first?
No, just show the incident. So can we hear that? And Clinton, you know as well as anybody, I don't watch myself. After something is done, I don't watch it again. We've been working together for 20 years, and you've probably put in 10 times the amount of time that I have producing things and making things perfect. Said, hey, did you watch this? Did you listen to? No, we did it. I don't want to see it again. It's done. I just don't go back. I enjoyed this. I had fun calling this. I thought the way Speed 51 edited it together. I was pretty proud of this piece of work.
Oh, trouble down into turn number 1. Jordan House hard into the wall. William Hale in the 62. Short-lived conversation as they'll take a walk over to the safety vehicles as Jordan House picking up pieces, tosses it at the 62. Now they're going to have a go. A hockey game has broken out in turn number 1. Officials in the middle. A haymaker by Jordan House, and they're down. Don't fight in the oil, it gets slippery. Jordan House being separated.
Awesome job. And, you know, as you're walking around, everybody was sharing it at the campground. They're sharing it in the tower, sharing it in the stand. So, as you mentioned, it did have a while to fester. And then right after that, the rains came. And right in the middle of that fight, actually, the rains came. And that was the end of it for that day. We stuck around for a while waiting for the official announcement, but it was still pretty much washed out the afternoon for us.
I'm just reading a comment from Aaron Daffler. I did not know that about Dale Jr. and Jackass. I knew he talked about Jackass on a show, but Clint, it worked out. I've never had more compliments at a racetrack than I did walking through. People said, "Oh man, this was fantastic," and what it goes back to is it's so much better to call things live than it is to package it later and call it later, because nobody would say that if you went and packaged it later. In fact, you might edit that completely out of a program. But when it's live and in the moment, you use your wit, you try to be interesting without being rude. But yeah, I love live. I just love live.
100%, man. That was a great job. We good with that?
You know what? One more thing.
And still being shit around. Go ahead.
Yeah, 75,000 views of that video. So turns out it wasn't oil they were rolling around with. It was gas. And what's ironic, if you look at that clip again, and if you want to play it, Spencer,
trouble
do
down into
it without the
1,
sound. I was going to say, take the sound off because that doesn't matter. Just the visual of it is what matters. So the fire crew is the crew that went in to break up the fight. Well, look at the fire crew and the drivers all rolling around in that gasoline. Had anything ignited that gas, it would have been absolute pandemonium. Everyone who was there to put out fires would have been on fire.
I don't mean to laugh, but it would have been such a fiery situation down there. It's crazy to think how crazy it could have gotten, though. You know, we thought it was at first, but it could have been wilder.
So they had a meeting the next day to say, okay, here's what we need to do in these situations. You shouldn't have people out there in crew uniforms. And Dave, the 89C Superstock did not get the Hard Charger Award. And I think that we'll talk about that shortly. But yeah, so that fight, then the rain delay, so that it had 24 hours to fester on the internet and build up steam. And now a lot of people are calling the haymaker Jordan House.
We ended up back there Monday, getting sent home around dinner time, late afternoon, early evening, around 7 o'clock. They finally made the call that realized we weren't going to get it in. Came back Monday, got things underway right away, right on time, 10 a.m. The first green flag heat took off, and you know we both remarked on how well things were run. Right down to the drivers' meeting, Ricky Brooks was the tech and director of the event. Joe Skotnicki, who we've known and worked with for many events over the years as a race director and management, came in and kind of oversaw the whole officiating of and the scoring of the event. And things were really well run. Now, I caught up with you Saturday during the drivers meeting, and I got in there halfway through right when Joe was talking, and I remarked that he was so calm and cool for the magnitude of this event. I said, wow, if Joe's any cooler, he'd be in reverse. And you said, you should have heard Ricky Brooks because, not really talking down to the drivers, but just calm and cool the whole weekend, both of them, even though everybody knew what the money did to ramp up the situation, the folks who needed to have cool heads all weekend did.
Did you hear how many cars made it through pre-tech the first time successfully? Of
Didn't
the
catch
60
that.
some
No.
odd cars? Hazard a guess.
No. 13.
One car made, and I don't know who it was, but one car made it through without having to change anything at all. Their car was just legal.
Wow,
So
that's wild.
Ricky, and I didn't hear anybody complain about it. Like, a lot of respect commanded by Ricky Brooks. The Grisdale and Lockwood family from American Racer Tires did a fantastic job with the tire compound, keeping that under control. Ricky Brooks, Joe Scott, Nicky. It was just a well-executed event, especially given all the obstacles that they had.
100%. A couple other comments that people want us to talk about. We'll get to the hard charge reward because that was one of our topics that you and I argued about at the moment. But a couple things I want to get to before that. First off, Tech. They want Mike wanted us to comment on the post-race Tech failed inspection of the Eddie McDonald 17M that actually ended up costing him, instead of 35,000 per second, he ended up with 3,500 for last. It was a rev box issue, misunderstanding between him and the team, or him and the tech. At least that's what they're stating. They're saying that when it was sealed, they thought Brooks had adjusted it and then sealed it. He's saying he just sealed it, assuming they had the right rev box set, knowing what the rules were. And in the end, it cost him 10 times the amount of money.
And it was handled with a lot of class by both sides. And I was still at the track when this was going on, Clinton. You didn't see anyone throwing wrenches, throwing fists. There were discussions going on, and people owned it. And I will say this, hats off to Jacasa Motor Speedway for paying him $3,500, because normally you get disqualified, and that's a big goose egg.
Yeah, I think that's the right decision too. Those guys put a lot of time, effort, and that money to come down. You know, it wasn't taking any money away from anybody else, so I'm cool with that. Barry mentioned that he wanted us to talk about live pit stops at the event. Comments on that, Adam? Go ahead.
Yeah, the trouble with live pit stops, Barry, and in theory, it's great. In theory, we remember Junior Hanley picking up crew members wherever he could to do makeshift pit stops. In practice now, a lot of the teams complained about it from all over the place, saying live pit stops, that's a complete game changer. Now we got to bring in equipment. We've got to hire professional crews, because $75,000 on the line. People hire pro crews for much, much, much less. You'd get into ringers coming in, equipment that would really put people at a disadvantage. So I think they did the best that they could with what they had. Where things went off the rails was in timing and scoring. So every yellow, the first yellow, they had the lineup done. Lead lap cars get ahead of the lap down cars. Free pass car get behind the pass car. Open the pits, let's go. Once they completed that first pit stop, the timing and scoring system that they were using wasn't conducive to the type of races that Joe Scott Nicky is used to running, where after a yellow, you just reset it. Somehow it configures all the cars back onto the lead lap that are supposed to be. So right from the first pit stop, it had cars a lap down that shouldn't be a lap down. They eventually got it figured out, but it made every yellow probably 3-4 laps longer than it needed to be, which is why at one point Joe Scott Nicky stopped counting yellow flags. Says, look, we're not counting yellow flag laps for a little while. We got to sort this out and get it right.
Yeah, my understanding of it is we most of us on the dirt use the AMB timing and scoring, which that software for that makes it a lot easier than the Westhold type, where you can just click on them and add a lap to them very easily. I heard Joe say so. It was a lot more complicated to make it happen with the Westhold system. So either way, they got through it. I didn't hear a lot of people screaming about scoring at the end, which is good, and the magnitude of the event, you can imagine, would have been big. So good job on them, and it seemed like it all worked out.
And thanks for the kind words. Well, I guess things got really ugly up on the spotters tower. That's what I'm hearing. But Clinton, it's like you say all the time. Most people don't see the big headaches. Most people just see that a race went on, somebody won, and everyone went home. All the crap that happens in the background is well concealed.
Agreed. So all in all, thanks, Alex, staff, management, ownership group, for having Adam and I over. We had a great time, and hopefully you guys enjoyed our call to races. It was great to be a part of it, and a fun long weekend.
congratulations to 2 APC drivers in the top 3.
Yeah, solid run for both those guys. Moving on to Hard Charger Awards. You and I started this argument on Sunday, or was it Monday? Monday by then. Chenoweth Chenoweth was the number 1 qualifier in the Superstock, went to the back of the field for unapproved change. He had a clutch or transmission issue, went back, changed it, and then I think it was changed transmission, then came back out. Now he passes every car in that field except Luzardo, who actually wins the race, and doesn't get the hard charger. Now, is that right or wrong? You think it's right?
It's right.
Why is it right?
It's right because you can't reward someone for getting a penalty. So they had to make an unapproved change. They had to change transmission after qualifying. By rule, that's a penalty. The penalty for that is you have to give up your spot and go to the back of the field. They even roll the field onto the racetrack in the right order, and then they drop the penalty cars to the back because it's all part of a procedure. So you sort of take the starting spot from where they were on pit road coming out, not where they actually took the green flag. So you don't reward someone for, and I'm not saying they cheated, it's a rules infraction. That's why they have it. Unapproved adjustment, you go to the back. You can't reward them with a hard charger award for an error.
Yeah, I mean, I get the black and whiteness of it. I think it just sucks because anybody in attendance knew who the hard charger was in that race, know who really did it. And it's not like he went back, made they had to change transmission. It's not like they put on a new set of tires and made wedge adjustments and did all this stuff that everybody else, which he could have. You don't know what happened, right? But I think the big thing was the transmission they had to get fixed. It makes sense on paper, but it just sucks if you're a fan sitting there and you're like, especially a new fan, like, how is that guy not the hard charger? You passed everybody in the field.
Keep in mind, he made pretty good money for finishing second place. And I think it was him who said in the interview, I appreciate that they even let me race. Because they could say, look, it's an impound race. You go out there and race what you qualified, even with the vibration in the transmission, it would have been a DNF.
No, that's true. He did thank them for that. Sean was great victory lane. I think, Shane Pierce brings up another thing. What if someone goes tail during the race, then passes the most cars? That should be the hard charger. So you got two things there. You've got a hard charger and most cars passed in the race, right? So they're two different things, really. Yep.
And that's just semantics. I mean, he did put on a great show, and you could have an award for that, the most impressive drive. And that would certainly go to Sean Chenoweth in that case.
Penetrator, we hope you're feeling better, buddy. All the best.
Yeah, 100%.
Let's talk about
hey, hang on. Shoot, we should have had Sean on the show. Says, is what it is. We had fun, and everyone knew we came. And Sean, you're absolutely right. And they went through a lot of work that weekend because from what I gather, he turned some hot laps on Saturday, I think at Flamborough with the car, realized that the clutch was no good in it or something. That was a story we got secondhand. So lots of work went down on that race car, but it definitely was a show. It was fun to watch. And Sean, your interview at the end was fantastic. That is how you race. No point in wrecking someone to take the win. Anybody could do that. You drove it hard. You drove it clean. It was fun to watch.
Great job by everybody at Short Track Nationals. It was great to be there. Wesley Shaw just heard that Southern Ontario Motor Speedway is now closed for the season. I meant to figure out what was going on there. That's kind of what we speculated last week on this program when we heard the fire the night before had taken them out. Major issues with the power source coming in. That was the building that burned. So tough break for them. I know they had a few more weeks to go. That if that is the official deal, that is going to mean that the last round of the Duel on the Dirt series will happen at Applefest, not at Southern Ontario Motor Speedway. And we'll get you that official word for next week's show.
Spencer, pull up Trevor DeBoer's comment about Matthew Shirley. Or Dustin DeBoer, sorry, I think it was the one that made the comment. During the autograph session, one of the DeBoer kids, it was Trevor DeBoer, one of the DeBoer kids noticed that Matthew Shirley was wearing an Ashwegan Speedway wristband. Mm-hmm. So they thought it was really cool that they had gone to Ashwegan Speedway. Well, I can tell you that Matt Shirley and the crew did come to Ashwegan Speedway, Clint, and they were blown away at the racing. In fact, Trent Seidel said he'd been so worked up and butterflies, he was finally starting to calm down about the big weekend of racing ahead. And he saw the 360 sprint cars on the track. He says, I got right wound up again, and I was wound as tight as you could be. So that's the fun thing when these racers and race teams come from all across the country. They're coming to embrace what we have here in our area of Ontario, and it's pretty fantastic. So
Yeah,
they did enjoy
100%.
the Ush Weekend show.
We've often said if you're any kind of gearhead, be it vintage cars, bikes, whatever, anything mechanical, you come and see what we are doing, and you should be pretty blown away by what you see there. Ready to move on to our next controversial topic, Adam.
Let's do it.
Drinking and toking, the big thing coming up lately. So, most recently at Ush Weekend Speedway, one of our top point getters was sat down for having a beer. He got caught with a beer in the pits, and that put him down. And I'm not going to name no names, and I'd ask our viewers not to. Everybody may know who it was, but
yeah, keep it to yourself.
That brought us to a big talk, Adam. And now that cannabis is legal in this country, it makes it difficult for us to, kind of police that as well a little bit. So I've been in talks with the ownership group from Ush Weekend and our insurance people to figure out, what is our message going to be. The message that we have is it's not tolerated. One, you're not allowed to be drinking or smoking during the events going on. If you are, you will be asked to leave, and it's as simple as that. Now, the one thing that I want to make clear is I believe, and don't quote me on this, but you all sign a waiver when you come in knowing the track has insurance. So again, this is totally just speculation on my part because it's the legalities of it I'm not 1,000% sure on. But my understanding of what I've read is that if you go into a track and something comes off your car or your car goes through the fence and you hurt somebody, you are most intent covered by the track's insurance as long as you've taken proper practices and the track has taken proper practices. If at any point the track can or anybody can prove that you have been under the influence, be it of cannabis or alcohol, the insurance company is immediately going to try and pull your coverage and say, we have nothing to do with you because you're against the rules, you're intoxicated. So that also now becomes your personal problem as a race car driver. So be very careful when you're consuming alcohol or marijuana before the races and going out, because you could very well find yourself in a situation that wrecks your life if something freak happens at the races, which we see all the time. And if you're playing by the rules, you're pretty much covered by what we've got going on. Our safety net has a big hole in it if you're stoned or drunk, and that becomes your hole in the safety net too. So that's, as a manager side, you're going to see new signs going up at Ush Weekend Speedway as quickly as this Friday that are going to remind people that it's not tolerated, and it can't happen because, we don't want to be left, with a big problem because someone was intoxicated or under the influence.
And the trouble is, it's so hard to tell, and people can talk about breathalyzers and blood tests and pee tests. The main thing is it doesn't matter. If you walk around the pits with a joint in your hand, smoking it, or if you walk around with a beer in your hand, drinking it, or drinking whatever, and one of our officials sees it, don't ask any questions. Don't complain. Take your lumps and leave. That's that. So, I mean, you can talk about all the tests you need. The easiest test is that, are you serious? Is this what's going on right now? And I think the fact that something did happen this past week, that message will go around the pits real fast. These guys are serious about this because a lot of pits, everyone has enclosed trailers now. A lot of these events, people disappear. You don't know what they're up to. But when you can see it, when it's out in plain sight and you do, I say hats off to your officials that made that call.
Yeah, and if you're a driver at one of the tracks I'm involved with on the management side, you cannot come to me and complain if you get caught there because there's no way I'm going to Tina Stiers and backing you up to her because, it's just not going to happen. So be smart out there, especially as we get into the camping events at the end of the year. I'm not talking just this weekend, whether you're at Autumn Colors, at Peterborough, this message goes for all racers at all tracks. And especially at the camping events, that's when we see it. Guys staying up all night, partying all day, not getting enough sleep, drinking in the morning, figuring your races at night, you're going to be okay. Just don't get burned by it. And don't be surprised if one day you pull up on the push-off track at Oshweekend Speedway and we got a cop standing there with a breathalyzer, because the minute we're ready to go, we're bringing that out, and we're just sending you back to your trailer, and we will not be afraid to shame you into your stupidity. So we'll be clearly telling everybody in that instance, because everybody will see why you didn't get to race. So be smart out there, especially as we get into these camping events and late season playoff events where you're hanging around the track for the whole weekend.
Oh, stop it. I hate that term in racing. There is no
What?
playoff season. Every day is a
Okay.
championship day. And you know
I
what?
agree.
I know it was a phrase that was coined. I've used it a time or two. I just don't like, because playoffs lead to something. It was just, it's like a bad nickname.
I'm with you. All right, our final topic. Our racing league, the Rivalz Racing League coming up. Adam, you and I finalized plans today for that league, and it looks like it's going to get underway I'm just trying to pull up my spreadsheet here.
I wouldn't say we finalized them, but we've gotten one step closer.
Well, we've agreed to a 10
because
race
it's
series.
So yeah, let's share what we know. Rivalz Elite is going to be a 10 race series starting on
Tuesday, October 15th.
So it'll be every Tuesday night. It's going to be a 10 race series, and our expectation is, if we fill the league, that points championship. And I worked out a points fund that I like even better, Clinton, that pays out the top 15.
Okay. So there will be live payouts.
Yeah, $80 a night to the winner. Top 7 will get paid something. Based on a full field of 12 teams of 4, 48 drivers. The points fund to be $2,000 to the champion, pay all the way back to 15th place and get $250 back.
Super exciting. So that is going to be the Rivalz Elite League that's going to take place here on Tuesday nights. We will move this show to Tuesdays, probably the week after Oshweekend Speedway ends after the Nationals. So watch for us to move this show to Tuesdays in conjunction with the Rivalz Elite League, in conjunction with the Monday night leagues that have been going on, which are going to be development leagues and tie into our league on Tuesday. So we're super excited. I know we've really been stringing out this news, but it's been developing week after week as we get closer to the off season to figure out how it's all going to come together. But I think we're a lot closer with Roger Craig and his group on Mondays. And quickly, let's talk about the Monday League, what's going on there. And then I want to get back to the Rivalz Elite League and the franchise system and how that's going to work out.
Yes, so Monday night leagues, there's going to be a beginner league for basically raw beginners to come out and learn their craft and fix setups. And then there's going to be 2 separate leagues on Monday night, kind of more intermediate type leagues, where at least the winner from each of those events will be guaranteed into Rivalz Elite the following night. Then we're going to run our gauntlet race on Tuesday night before the Rivalz Elite, and it'll be free to enter. You just have to be an accepted member of the group to race in that event. At least the top 4 will qualify into the Rivalz Elite that night. So for no money, you can qualify to race in the Rivalz Elite program, Clinton, because you and I, we being the league, are going to enter 2 teams of our own. We're going to enter 8 spots into Rivalz Elite that can be earned through racing Monday night or early Tuesday, absolutely free. The other 10 teams of 4 will be $1,000 to put a team together and enter. So $250 per driver to enter to race for $2,000. So every dollar that's made in entry fees is going right back out in payout and points money. But we want it to be inclusive to everybody. So even if you're not taking on a team, even if you don't have the $250 to pony up, you're welcome to come race. You got 2 chances on Monday night in those leagues. You've got another chance in the gauntlet races on Tuesday to qualify into that night's elite program and try to race for money.
Awesome. Let's talk about what the Elite program is. We are selling franchises for the Rivalz Elite League. That'll race on Tuesday nights. And that program will start at 9 o'clock, correct, Adam? On Tuesday nights.
Yeah.
And what it will be, our show will be on and off probably before then, but on and rolling through that program. But if you want to compete, you need to commit to Tuesdays at 9 o'clock. Here's the deal: 10 race series, as Adam mentioned, payouts for individual drivers on race nights. Top 10 will get paid out. Did you say, Adam, or is it we still at 7?
Top seven on race night.
Top 15 get paid out in the point standings down to your entry fee, with 2,000 being the champion share at the top end of that. So the question is, how do you get involved? Well, first off, we'll have all that up on the website next week for you guys to figure it out. If you want to get a team together, it's $250 per driver to get involved in this elite league. The benefits of it are your broadcast here with us every week. You get to be well known by the online crew and our viewership. You'll also be included in the Rivalz weekly pools, which are the betting pools. So fans from around Canada will have a chance to bet on your performance with your iRacing and win money on your iRacing performances. There'll be 10 teams of 4 sold of 10 franchises. So that means 40 drivers. And like Adam said, 6 to 8 will be able to earn their way in on 2 of what we're calling the transfer team, which will be also paid sponsorships to be announced in the coming weeks. So that way everybody will actually pay their way in. Even the drivers transferring in will still have money in the pot, so they have a fair share to win the money back should they perform. So super excited about this, Adam. I mean, I had to fight with you to get you to come around to it. It was basically an idea we started. You got cold on it. I got cold on it. Then we came back to it. It'll be open setup, and super excited to set this out. The first team we're going to announce, and I have not got their roster yet, but I know Rick Scott will be putting together Team GSR Strickland, which is Glenn Stires Racing Strickland. So just like the NASCAR teams, some of our teams will be getting involved with esports. So the first big league team from our weekend to get involved is Glenn Stires Racing, and it'll be managed and raced by Rick and whoever Rick can recruit. And basically that means is going to pay. They're going to sponsor the team for $1,000. So whoever gets recruited by Rick will get to race for free. And I'm certain we're going to have other teams coming in. I know the guys out of New York had talked about kicking a team in, and we're excited to have them come in. And it should be really cool. And thoughts on that before we talk about what the math means?
Well, let me point out some things that'll really put people over the edge. We are going to do less officiating in these seasons. Because you're entered as a team of 4, each team is going to have a captain. We'll do less officiating on the spot. We're going to let iRacing do a lot. We're still going to control the event. We're going to watch everything after the fact if penalties need to be doled out. But by letting things go on race night, letting iRacing handle that side of things, and then dealing with things in the days that follow, I think it's going to make for much less drama that we had in years past, Clint. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So some of the things that we're doing are kind of counterintuitive to what you think would make for better racing. I think it's going to be fantastic.
Just to make it clear, 1,000% of the franchise fees go right back to all the racers. There's not 1 cent going to us or anything going on there.
Let's call it 100%, because 1,000% means we have to put in 10 times more money.
Yeah, what am I thinking? Time to see that's 10:01. I'm over my smart zone, and we're beat already. Let's talk about what were we talking? Oh, television coverage, Adam. So I've been in talks with the folks at Network TV. They are interested. We're talking about a live championship day potential in the spring to tie both of the leagues together. We've got major things coming on board for those who get involved with this Rivalz Elite League. Super excited and pumped up that not only are we excited about it, but all the corporations around us are, and we're going to see that come together here with this franchise league.
And our expectation, Clint, is no age limit. It's just we're wiping the slate clean. If you have iRacing and you want to come and get involved, you're welcome to get involved. Everyone on a given team is going to be accountable to each other, and they're going to be accountable to the officials. And it's just going to be it's crazy. You're right. I was not for this idea in the beginning, and you made some concessions to me. because I insisted there has to be a way to join this for free, get in on the action. You made that happen, and I think we're going to see things really develop and be a lot of fun.
I'm super excited about it. So that's it. Watch for more to come with the Rivalz Racing. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, we have our pools coming up. Get on racerivals.com, make your pool selections, go to victorygames.com, and get signed up. Make your picks. Make sure you take their deposit bonuses, and don't forget, e-transfer is the best way to get your money involved with that. We are still working on getting our weekend scanned. No fresh updates as of yet, but my understanding is we are in the queue, and as we keep developing things like this, things look pretty good. And yes, Greg said, don't ever call it a video game. We need shirts that say that. Don't call it a game.
That's a good idea.
No, racing is not a game, even if it's on a video game. There, I said it.
Oh, man.
Anything else you want to close with?
Not really. It was a great weekend, Clint. Yes, there is. It was so much fun to work with you at a racetrack that you were not an official or a manager. Such a big difference just being able to call the racing. And like I said, I hadn't had more compliments in Ontario. I've never had so many compliments on the work that we did.
No, I had a great time too, and you're right. The rain came, and I just got to sit there and eat chicken fingers and not worry about what the schedule was going to be or have to figure it out. And I was like, all right, let me know what time we got to show up for work tomorrow. It was a great time. I had a fantastic time too. Let's talk about quickly championship night coming up. Final preview for Rush Weekend Speedway. I got a text on my way to Jacasa from Doug Leonard, who did our points, and I just got to pull it up here. And it was a quick and dirty text, and it basically just said points are updated. Westbrook over demand by 2 points, which is going to be a hell of a battle of the 360s. So pretty much whoever finishes ahead of who out of those guys has a shot at the title. Corey is still in the mix, but it basically comes down to Westbrook or demand. Then a 14-year-old rookie leads the crates by 12, which is Nick Sheridan. So that's a hell of a show there. Jesse Costa blowing up last week is going to put things tight. He put up a tweet yesterday, said he's hoping for a wide, slick track for Friday night so he can get back to the top. And then you also got Lucas Smith in there who posted he's gunning for a championship in the crates. The mini stocks are tied with Wirt and DeBoer after recent weeks. So, and then you got Dave Bailey who's stinking up the show and running away with it. But super exciting. If you haven't been to Rush Weekend Speedway, come out and see us. Watch us on the simulcast. That's live on MAB TV Canada starting at 9 or at 9:30 on our live stream, right through for everybody else around the world watching us. And I know we have some American viewers who watch this program with us as well. So thank you so much, and hopefully you tune in. That's all I got, buddy. What else you got?
That's it. Next week we'll have some documents for the Rivalz Elite Division and entry forms and things like that. If you want to get involved and sponsor a driver or sponsor a team, let us know. Message Clinton or myself. We can get you connected with the right people. If you want to sponsor either of the two wildcard teams, let us know. We are taking sponsorship for those two teams. We know we're going to be able to sell them. We're guaranteeing it. But if you specifically want to have your name associated with that, because I think it's just the coolest thing, Clinton, that's going to be available.
Keep us with Racetrack Fever all winter long. Super excited about that. So everybody, that's it for us. It's been a great week. Stay with us. We'll see you again. Next week we'll have a big preview of the Canadian Sprint Car Nationals coming up. And for now, get out to the racetrack. Seasons are rolling down soon. You won't have much to do. Before long, we're all going to be stuck inside the cave. So get out, bring somebody new to the racetrack in the next coming weeks, and help keep our sport alive. Also, in closing out, I want to thank Greg Callan and Spencer for their work on our virtual set here. Looks fantastic, guys, as always, making us look good. The clowns here behind the computers. Thank you so much. We'll see you this weekend at the racetrack. Get out and see somebody. You working anywhere else, Adam? Oh, I got to thank you, Adam, for making your travel arrangements to come and work with us at Rush Weekend. I know you're supposed to go to NASCAR, and you did book a last-minute flight so you can stay with us championship night, then fly out Saturday morning. I'm off to Brighton Saturday, so I got a busy weekend too, but not nearly the miles you'll put on. So thank you for agreeing to stick with us.
Dan, thank you for having. It's so important to me. It's so awesome that we could make this work. I was a bit bummed I wasn't going to get to do it, and then all of a sudden I'm in the show, so I'm going to be there Friday, and it's going to be awesome. Then I'm going to be in St. Eustache, and we're going to talk about St. Eustache next week on the show. Very sad that that place is closing, but progress, it happens. I'm going to enjoy the weekend.
Thanks, everybody. See you around. Come out to the races. We'll see you there. Thanks, Spencer.